Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. Welcome to No Fictional Friends, episode 1.
Are we actually starting right now? What's happening? Or was that?
No, but
Oh, I thought that was like legit. Hold on. Then we need to cheers.
action. Hello, friends, and welcome to the episode 1 of No Fictional Friends with your hosts, myself, Sophia, and my lovely friend.
Nicole. We're
Thanks
excited
for tuning in.
Oh, that is going to be probably the theme of this whole entire podcast, which is just us like yapping and talking over each other. But
yes,
I honestly, Sophie, I can't believe we're actually starting this at this point.
Let's just see how it goes. Hopefully, it will be fun. That's mostly my main goal.
Yeah. Well, cheers to that. So, Sophie, why don't we start this book podcast?
You're jumping ahead. First of
I'm
all,
jumping ahead.
Yeah. Why do you love reading?
Why do I love reading? I love reading because I feel like it's something that really calms me. It has since I was a little kid. And when I was younger, I didn't have a whole lot of friends when I was in middle school. So I would literally come home from school. It's 2011, by the way. I would come home from school. I would jump on into my Papasan chair in my bedroom and I would sit with my Snuggie on and I would read like all of the young adult, young fiction, dystopian books. And that was just huge for me. That was like a way for me to feel like I belonged in something. And then in adulthood, I feel like I didn't read for a while. And then I came back to reading kind of, I don't know, a couple years ago, maybe in the early adulthood. And I feel like it's just so fun because like you and I talk about books all the time. And like I think about most of my girlfriends. A huge part of what I talk about with most of my girlfriends is the books that we're reading and like going to see a movie that came out based on a book or buddy reading different books or talking about the books that we've read before and we loved. And that's a huge like part of friendship for me. So I feel like that's community is a big thing for me as well with reading.
It's a nice like way to get involved with people too, like meet people, especially for myself who's not the most extroverted person, at least not with like small talk. Like I'm good once I get introduced.
Yeah, with your like close group.
Yeah. I didn't know that you kind of stopped and then restarted.
So I think that like through college and then the beginning of medical school, for obviously no one knows this, but I'm a doctor and I went to medical school. But through college and the beginning of medical school, I feel like I did not read at all, for fun. Obviously, I was reading a shit ton outside of that. But it wasn't until probably like second year of medical school. So when I was like 24 that I like really got back into reading. And my first book back was in the summer between the first and second year of med school, where it was kind of like my last summer before adult responsibility. And the first book that I read when I kind of got back into reading was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I don't know if that was pronounced right.
Yes, but yeah, I know what you're talking about because you recommended that for me. That's one of the books.
Probably just because it like got me back into reading. So, it'd be interesting to read it again and see if like at this time in my life, being such a different reader now than I was 4 years ago, how I would feel about that book.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, I mean, that reading's been like big in my family since I was little. Like my parents read to us every night.
And then reading Harry Potter to you, like that's...
Well, they did do that, but first my dad got to spend about a year reading Everybody Poops every night to me because I love that book. But yeah, that Nicole kind of mentioned it. So my dad read Harry Potter to me and all my siblings. My older brother, he kind of stopped with because he had gotten so much older as those books were coming out. But for me and my younger siblings, He read it to each of us. And then even when he was reading those books to us, I was reading on my own. And I've been, I would say, pretty consistent. Like, I probably have done at least 5 to 10 books per year since I was a kid.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, obviously, I think sometimes those numbers get a little inflated when I have to put in for like school related things.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
honestly, some of my favorite books I've ever had to read were through like AP Lit and Lang. So
Same. I did IB, and I feel like The Great Gatsby, for example, I loved that book. Or The Scarlet Letter. Also loved
yeah,
that.
I
But
liked the Scarlet Letter. I never had to read. I never got The Great Gatsby, which we can talk about that as like what are required readings and what ones we got
oh
on
yeah.
another day.
Yeah, we have that in
Quickly,
the works, friends. In the works.
yes. To kind of introduce us a little bit more, I will tell you that Nicole and I met in college. Technically, our sophomore year of college, right? We were in classes together because we
Yeah.
were both. I was also pre med when Nicole was pre med, and that's kind of how we met. And we both went to Indiana University and Bloomington.
Go
So this was
Hoosiers.
a great year for us, winning the NCAA.
So TLDR, Sophie thought I was a huge bitch. And then a couple years later decided that I was all right. And here we are, best friends. We quarantined together for part of COVID, like the original, the OG
Yeah.
quarantine. And that was after you introduced me to Harry Potter. And you were like,
Yeah.
you really got me. And I had never read Harry Potter before. And finally, that was like a huge thing in your family and not really in mine. And then, so during the OG COVID of like March 2020 is when I read it for the first time. And I think over the course of a couple months, I would like read one and then we'd watch the movie. I'd read one and then we'd watch the movie.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
That was a lot of fun. I wish you got to experience what Harry Potter was like when it came out, like when the books dropped. Like we went to the midnight book drops to buy the books. Like I don't feel like we really get those experiences anymore.
I know because everything is so digital now, but
yeah, it's
like if
more
I could go back,
instantaneous.
I would totally go back to be able to do that. That'd be so cool.
Oh yeah. And then the movies too, like that was a lot of fun as well. Okay, so for our first topic of discussion is let's kind of go over our own individual reasons of wanting to do this podcast.
Let's see, why do I want to do this? Because I feel like we already have such great discussions about books that are unrelated to being in a podcast. Sometimes we have these like really in-depth conversations about books. I'm like, dang, like that made me like that book even more. That made me like the book less. Or it's almost like we're doing our own little mini book club, like bestie book club. It'd be really cool if we could take those in-depth conversations that we're having and then turn that into a podcast, because I'm sure there are other people out there who may not have that outlet of like they love books but they don't necessarily have someone to talk to about it. And I thought that would be a cool thing to bring to somebody else. Or if someone's like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with this book, I want to know what other people thought about it, then they could listen to our podcast and then kind of be part of the conversation.
I agree. And I would love to like bring in other friends and people that reach out. For myself, I really like seeing this as one, like you said, a way to kind of like discuss more in depth. I always feel like we do send like long novels via text, but it's hard sometimes to like type everything out. Then my other thing is, now that we're both living in 2 different cities and we don't get to see each other as often, it is nice to kind of have something that I know we can at least always make sure we're connecting on that. Nicole has some lofty aspirations, I do have to say, immediately when we were talking about that podcast. Being like, oh, what if we get famous? What if we get brand deals?
Bro,
I was like,
I want advanced reader copies. I want Reese's Book Club sending me a gift basket.
But you're like texting me and I'm like, let's start with seeing if we actually even like doing it.
But Reese, I love you. Please send me a basket.
We have time. We have time.
Yeah, at the very least, this is an excuse to drink and yap.
Yes.
And talk about books, which we already do anyway. But if we got famous in the process, I would
not be upset about that.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
I think that's true for a lot of people, as long as we don't let fame and money change who we are.
it can change me all at once, baby. ARCs, ARCs. There's this one girl on Instagram I follow. Shout out Delaney, I think Smith, maybe. She's awesome. She's like a really good book talk, book social media person. And she got an advanced reader copy of the new Abby Jimenez book that comes out in May. And she already said it's amazing. And I'm like, well, I would love to be one of those people that gets to read things early. We'll see.
That would be nice.
Lofty goals.
I would do that.
I am the type A best friend. Sophie is the more go with the flow.
I'm definitely in this relationship a type B, but when there's not a type A, I will be the type A.
Yes. Yeah. In your own relationship, you are a type A for sure.
Yeah.
More structured. Do you have any fears, goals, or expectations for this podcast?
No, not really. I guess, again, like kind of what I said, I think my biggest concern would be if it did take off and it just became not fun anymore, I think. That'd be my biggest concern. Or leading to drama, a la other very large podcasts that have been out there.
Ooh.
Not to name any names, but anyways, that's not very book related. But I guess we can just yap away if we want.
I feel like there's like a part of me that's like, oh no, like, what if we really disagree on how to like run the podcast, or what if we don't agree on how to do certain aspects of it, or if we, I don't know. That was like my one thing. I was like, there's so much good about us being so different, but there have been points of contention naturally, like points of conflict in friendship, as people do. But anyway, that's like my one thing. Okay, so now we kind of wanted to talk about, a year in review, about all the books that we read in 2025. I feel like we both had our own reading journeys in 2025, and I'm curious to hear about like how you felt 2025 went for you with your reading, and what goals that you have maybe for going into 2026, things you want to do differently, how things are going.
Yeah. So 2025, I'm going to be honest, I was not happy. I believe I started with like a 25 or 30 book goal.
Oh yeah,
And then I dropped it. Yeah, I like dropped it and then I got 23. And a lot of those were rereads. And I had a lot of time where I just didn't read at all. Like I have all of May and June, I didn't read at all.
Well, that's a lot for you.
Yeah.
Like,
And so then, and it was, and I got into a big, um, like time of just not really being interested. I don't even know. Like sometimes I run into the issue of being kind of like paralyzed with my next book choice. Like that gets me
I feel that.
really, really struggle. Like that's where I struggle a lot. So then I do a reread because I'm like, oh, I'm in a slump. So I'll reread something I've already read and that will help get me out of it. And while that's sometimes helpful, a lot of other times it's not great. And it just makes me read the same books over and over. Um, so that was kind of one thing. The other thing, though, that I did like with my year was I did read a series or started a series. The third one is not out yet, or at least it's not accessible in my library. It's called The Wolf Den. And it's about this woman. It's fiction, but it's about a woman who was in ancient Greece and she got kidnapped and sold into a brothel.
Oh, well.
It's just kind of her story and how she utilizes, even in that position, finds power in it to improve upon what she's experiencing. So it's very interesting. I've liked that. And then I read a couple books that were a little like on my list. They're fine. They were just kind of ones that I was like, okay, I expected more. Yeah, I think that's my other thing is to be a lot more critical in how I rank my books, like the 0 to 5, basically.
Oh yeah.
Because I want to make sure that I am being more cognizant of what I'm saying. Because I feel like I do a lot of 4s but then I sit back and, like, think on them, and I'm like, "I actually didn't really enjoy that as much as a 4, so I need to be a little bit more thoughtful this upcoming year."
Interesting, because I feel like while I'm reading a book, sometimes I'm like, "Oh, this is definitely so far a 5," or, "Oh, I don't really
Yeah,
like this part, it's gone down a little bit for me," or something maybe redeems it, and then it just kind of, like, settles at the end.
yeah, that's fair.
Do you ever
What
go
about you? What
back and
are
change your rating?
Yeah, I will. I'll do that, um, a lot. Like, sometimes especially at the end of the year, when I look through the books, sometimes I'll go back and change some of the books that I put as, like, a 5, because I will be like, "No, I read, like, 4 books that were, like, way better than that. I don't know why I
Oh,
put that as a
interesting.
5."
So you're then comparing it's not like in isolation, it's like you're comparing it to the books that you've read either before or after it.
Yeah,
Guess that's
kind
valid.
of. I guess sometimes there's a book that I enjoy because it's fast-paced and it's interesting, but when I, like, sit and think on it, I'm like, "It was kind of predictable." The prose wasn't, like, super complicated, and so it's not life-changing in a way, and so I really kinda think of, like, 5s for myself as being things that I will talk to people about for years to come, and I don't think this year I really got I guess I got 1. I wonder what one it was.
You mean in 25?
In
Okay.
2025, yeah. What about you? What was your year like?
Yeah, I think my original goal was 25 books in 2025, and before that, like I said, I had a couple years where or a huge period of my life where I didn't read at all, and then about 4 years ago is when I really started reading consistently again, and so 25 at the time would have been the most books I'd read in a year. And it was also the year I kinda started listening to audiobooks more and including that in my, you know, cycle of the kinds of books that I'm reading. So I usually have kind of a chaotic mix of like one audiobook and then I'll have a uh Kindle, like a book on my Kindle, and I'll have a physical book too. But then I think I was telling you the other day, I realized going back through my 2025 Wrapped on Fable, the best app ever for logging your reading. Um, Fable sponsor us. But I realized when going back through, I did not have a single physical book, and that made me so sad because I feel
Yeah.
like the physical books are a dying era, like dying area of reading,
Yeah.
which I'm glad we've like made reading more accessible, but I don't know, there's just part of me that felt a little bummed by that. So going into 2026, I told you the other day one of my goals is to read one physical book per month in addition to whatever else I'm reading, to really get myself to read physical books still. Uh,
Mhm.
and then the other thing that was big about 2025, so my goal was originally 25 books for the year. And then I also learned how to crochet last year and suddenly found on Pinterest these things called book blankets, which is where people take the colors from the cover of the books they read and turn it into granny squares for to make into a giant blanket to kind of show all the books that you've read in that year. So in like middle of January, I was like, I'm going to do this. And then suddenly my goal went from 25 to 80, which like must have been on crack thinking that was a great idea. Um and I was kind of on track for that for a while and then halfway through a year I really slowed down and I think I ended at 64. So 2 less rows of the blanket, which is fine, but, um, 64 is still, like, huge, more books than I've ever read in any year, but I feel like because I was doing that book blanket thing, my reading was so structured last year, it almost took a little bit of the fun out of it because I was had to be so planned, and so I'm not gonna set I'm not doing a book blanket this year. And I'm also making my goal 20 I think 28?
Okay.
Either 28 or 29, I think, because I turned 29 this year, which is terrifying to even think about, but, it's either my current age or the age I am turning this year. I think it's 29. So that's my actual goal for this year. I think I've already read, like, 4 or 5 books, so we'll
That's
probably get
good.
there by, like, July, I don't know. But, I wanna just focus on reading what I actually want to be reading and
Yeah,
not
I was
having.
gonna say, did you choose books based off of, like, the colors on the cover? Because you wanted to make it, like
No, I didn't. Sometimes it kinda turned out that way because in the summertime, I had 1 month where I only read books that had, the word summer in the cover or, like, in the title, and so those books happen to have a lot brighter, like, fun colors, and then a lot of the suspense books I read there's a lot of red, black, and white, I will tell you that, like, a lot of books have the same freaking colors, and then there's also a lot of blue. There's a lot of blue in covers, and then the colors
I
you
could see
don't
that.
see as much are, like, yellow, orange, um, like, super light green, super bright pink, super light blue, stuff like that. So that was, like, interesting to kinda see. Um, but I feel like I have goals for this year to finally get around to books that I have not read. Like, I really wanna finally do Throne of Glass. That's definitely a goal for this
Okay, yeah, I know you've been talking about that for a while.
Yeah, because like, everyone says it's amazing, but it just felt like such a huge undertaking, and I feel like I'm emotionally ready to invest in a huge undertaking.
Yeah, I don't know how many books are in that
Like 8,
series.
dude, and they are thick.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't know. I liked Akatar, but I have not really had any interest in doing A Throne of Glass.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah.
Feel like I did so
Yeah.
many romance novels last year, or romance books, which is not usually my genre. My genre is usually more mystery, thriller, suspense. So it was actually
Yeah.
kind of wild reading so many romance books last year, but yeah, I think I kinda wanna transition a little
Branch
bit
out a
to a
little
different
more.
genre. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. Is there any specific besides Throne of Glass? Is there any other books you're looking forward to this
Okay, I
year?
really want us to buddy read Red Rising because everyone has said that one is really good.
Yeah.
There's a couple from, like, leftovers from last year that I didn't get to that I wanna read, like, Wild Dark Shore is one of them. A lot of Reese's, book club ones. Wild Dark
Mm.
Shore is one of them. I kinda started The Correspondent, a couple days ago, so that's another one I'm thinking of. The new, Laura Dave book that follows The Last Thing He Told Me. The first book, which I really loved. Like, that was a book that I read last year that I really, really liked, the last
Yeah.
thing the last thing he told me. What about
Okay.
you? What are some other books that you're particularly
Yeah.
excited to read this year?
Um, well, for myself, I don't know. I don't really, like, look ahead at books in that sense, I guess. Of, like, I don't really plan ahead very much on what I'm reading. I just kinda choose whatever I'm feeling. So, I have more general goals. Like, I've recently been reading some sci-fi books, and I've really enjoyed them. So, I read Ready Player One, um, and I read The Martian last year and loved that. So, I've been
Yeah.
on my Libby waiting list for, Project Hail Mary. It's been
Yes.
12 weeks.
12
There's
weeks,
like
that's insane.
there's 130 copies throughout the Chicago Public Library, and it's been 12
Oh
weeks.
my god.
And they keep adding them. They keep getting more.
I was just talking with one of my really good friends here in Atlanta who just finished that, like, 2 weeks ago, maybe? She said it was really, really good.
I
I
don't
didn't
know.
realize
I haven't
everyone was talking. Maybe I need to add that to my TBR.
Have you read The Martian?
No. So I have to, I
No,
guess, add that to my TBR.
he's the so he did the author he's the author of The Martian. I love that. I had never seen the movie
Oh, I
either,
was gonna
so
say
I
I
read the
liked the
book.
movie.
Yeah. So I read the book first and then watched the movie, which then was annoying Blaine because I just kept telling him how everything was different. So sci-fi is one of them. The other thing is nonfiction. I don't think I've outside of like school. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't think I even ever finished a book that was nonfiction for school. I think I just
No shame. I'm
glazed
probably in
over
that
at.
club.
I'm really good at like when we're in discussions, people start saying things. If I hadn't read it, I would just pick up off of what they were saying and be like,
No.
I would interpret that. And guess what? I got really good
And I got an
grades.
A.
Uh, and then my other big goal is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read the first two books of the Napolitano series from Elena Ferrante, which is in English, My Brilliant Friend, And then I can't remember. Story of a New Last Name, I think is the second one. I can't remember. Or but I speak and read and understand Italian. So for ways for me to practice that will be reading that. And I need to just do it. I say this every year. I just need to do it. Because I used to do it all the time. Like I had to read those books for classes. And I had to do it in like 3 weeks and I did it. But now I can't even sit down for one time a week to read. I just need to practice more, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Those are kind of my big things. I'm also adding in audiobooks.
Ooh.
Which Nicole was just talking about. She didn't read a physical book. All of my books last year, except for one, were physical books.
Yeah.
Because I really struggled with audiobooks and virtual, but I just got an e-reader, and I'm only using that for library books, I've decided.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to utilize the library more. But then if I want a specific book, really want it, I'm going to buy it and it'll be physical copy from an indie or secondhand store.
Amen.
Okay. Our last little bit, we did a book exchange at the end of last year, beginning of this year, with our friend Julie, who will be joining us shortly. The point of this book exchange was I texted Julie and Nicole. I was like, hey, we should do that. And they agreed.
Remember the part where it was your idea? Just remember
it was my idea. But there was miscommunication. Mostly because when I said, let's do this book exchange, I really thought of it as a very casual, let's send each other books type ordeal.
However,
but it appears that Nicole and Julie may have interpreted this differently. So we get our books and they text me that they got their books. And
just as an aside, we literally said, okay, we're going to do a book exchange and then open on our first episode of our podcast because we already knew that we were starting the podcast in the new year.
No. Argument. We did not say that.
We did.
We did not.
Guys, I will find the receipts. I will find the receipts.
If you find it. Look at them now.
Right now. God, yeah.
I don't recall us talking about doing this on the podcast.
Likely story.
Anyway, so I went on a trip to Puerto Rico with my fiance. And before going on this trip, I decided I would open my book exchange books so I could take them to read on the beach. And guess what? I did open them and I did read one of them. I brought both, but I only read one because I didn't have that much time to read it on the beach. No, we just had excursions, Nicole. Excursions.
If you are listening and not watching, I gave a raised eyebrow when she said I didn't have much time to read on my fiance honeymoon.
So then I get back and then they text me, so when are we going to do this podcast and open these books? And I say, well, I already opened the books and I've completed reading one of them.
Ruined the book exchange.
And I was wrong. I just thought it was just going to be more casual. I really was using it as a reason for my friends to send me items. That was really my entire point.
Yeah, and I was like, bro, that's so annoying. So then in my head, I was like, should I just open my books? But Julie and I had agreed we were going to keep them. So these stupid books have been haunting me, sitting on my bookshelf unopened for the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks? It's been a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that book was so good that you got me that I already read because I'm a traitor. Anyway, well, we'll start with you. Why don't you share with the group what I got?
I'm opening it.
Oh, wait. We didn't even say what the prompt of the book selection was. So basically, you had to pick a book. Let's say it's me choosing a book for Sophie.
Okay, I feel like you have just made up an entire scenario. Because I just said, let's get each other books.
No,
you said prompt.
There was a whole plan for this. I swear to God, this is where the type A and type B really come to clash. It was the prompt of the decision was we literally shared our TBRs with each other. You are lying.
Well, no, I thought we were sharing the TBR in the books that we have read. So I wouldn't buy a book that you have already read.
Yeah, so the whole point was for you to buy a book that you've read and liked that I have not read yet that's on my
Yes, okay, I can agree on that one.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, anyways, that was the goal, was to look at each other's TBR and find a book that we have read and liked that they have not yet read and get that for them. So with that, what did I get you, Sophie?
You got me The Women by Kristen Hannah. Kristen Hannah.
Kristen Hannah.
Which honestly was a really good surprise because my mom talks about it all the time. She really loved it. And I really enjoyed it. I would put it as, I think I finished it in the beginning of this year. It was like the first book I finished of this year. But it's up there. It was very eye-opening. Like, I have known a little bit about the Vietnam War in terms of kind of what happened, the protests, et cetera, et cetera. And I do know about how a lot of the veterans returned and the experience was not great.
Yeah.
Partially just like I worked a lot with veterans that had gone from the Vietnam War, and they did not get a lot of sympathy. And anyway, it was eye-opening. It reminded me of like why I was just actually having this discussion with Blaine yesterday because we were watching Nuremberg, which is the new movie about the Nuremberg trials. And there's like a scene where they talk about them dropping the nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and the concentration camps between one of the Nazi officers and the psychologist. And the Nazi officer is saying, like, how is that different than what we did? And the psychologist says something along the lines of like, it's different to like purposely go out there and kill innocent people versus it being like accidental casualties. And I said, I kind of disagree with that. And then Blaine and I had this discussion. I was like, ultimately, when you're bombing city centers, there's innocent bystanders there that you're harming. So therefore, it's not necessarily different. Like, sure, the action, like maybe the methodology behind or the reasoning behind is different, but in summary, like all war is horrible, and ultimately it's just a bunch of powerful people that are fighting each other, and we force
The
our
innocent
young
people
men
are the
and
ones who
women,
are
yeah, and
sacrificed.
we force
Yeah.
our young people and families and people that end up being casualties as well end up having to suffer the consequences of governments fighting.
I think you gave it like a 4.5 or something.
I think it was up there. It was definitely one of my. I think the writing is really good, and I mean, there's some aspects to it that I thought were a little cliched. And spoiler alert, I thought the very end where she ends up, oh, I forget who
Oh my
was
God,
it.
we're
It was the
spoiling
other.
the end of the book.
No, it's just like I thought that she fell in love with these two guys, and then they both happen to survive the war and meet up with her later in life. That was
Yeah.
dumb. I thought that was stupid. I was like, there was no
It
point.
like,
I thought so much as a person that we didn't need to have the stupid additional love story at the end. Is
yeah,
more
it
of my
takes
point.
away from the tangible sense of loss too.
Yes, and
Yeah. Makes it less authentic.
I agree. I agree with that. So that was my like biggest negative review on it.
Yeah. For me, I felt like the first half of the book was 5 stars, went all the way 100%. And that the second half, once she returned home from Vietnam, for me, dragged out just a little bit too long. And I could see the direction that Kristen Hannah was going with it, but it felt a little bit repetitive.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like the storyline
4.25 is what I gave it.
4.25. Okay. I think I gave it 4.5. I can't remember. But yeah, so I think that was for me where it lost a half star was that it just got drawn out a little bit too long. But still the lessons that I learned from reading that book. Oh, that was another one. The Nightingale. That was another book I wanted to read this year.
Oh yeah, I want to read that one
Like I
too.
still haven't
I've
read
had
that
that
one, but
forever
that's like
too.
the OG big Kristen Hannah book that everyone in book talk is talking about. So I'm like, oh, gotta read it.
Yeah.
All right. So that was your book. Are you happy I got it for you?
Mhm. I enjoyed it. Okay, open
Okay.
my book.
So first I came up with 3 books that I could envision you picking.
Yes.
and like boom, 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 they all came to me. It's going to be real embarrassing. Well, I not that embarrassing if like you picked a different book. Sounds like you didn't even follow any sort of prompt or rules or anything. So
no, I was thoughtful. I was thoughtful in the books that I chose for both of you.
Okay. So my first guess is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillies.
Okay.
There's a reason. The reason I picked this as one of my guesses was I remember how many times you've said that you really enjoyed this book. And
I've never read that.
Wait, bro. Wait, I thought you read this one.
No.
Okay. Ignore. Never mind. But if anyone's read One Dark Window and wants to tell me about it, I just thought it'd be a fun one to read.
I'm sure probably I've heard people like rave about it. So I'm sure that you probably heard someone and intermixed with your memory.
Like false memory, but I swear to God, I thought you read that book. Anyway, okay. This one I know you for sure read because you've recommended it to me multiple times. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
Mm-hmm. I have read that one.
That was, thank God. That was one of my next guesses because you have recommended it to me multiple times and you know that I love suspense, mystery, thriller, etc.
Yes.
And then the other one that I could envision you having picked for me is The House of the Cerulean Sea.
I also really liked that book.
I know, you talked about that a lot. So I was like...
Yeah, and Julie's read it too. She read that in the second as well.
Oh,
we both have.
Okay, but no One Dark Window.
Okay, so it'll be interesting. So context, I utilized thrift books, and the book I wanted to get Nicole was not available.
Sponsor us, thrift books.
So this is the second. Should I share what the first one was first?
No. Wait, the first one that you didn't get me that you thought about?
That I wanted, my number one pick.
Yes.
That I wanted to get you.
Okay.
I wanted to get you the book called The Poisonwood Bible, which is one of my favorite books. It was on your TBR.
Yep. It was on my TBR, so I really wanted to send that.
Yeah. That is probably one of my favorite books I've ever read. My dad, who does not read fiction books like ever, loved it. That's his one of his favorite books. It's, for anyone that doesn't know, it's like a book set in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and it's a family of missionaries that goes there in like the 60s, and it's just their story of being there. But you read the beginning, and it's the mother of the family reflecting on the time, so it's in like the present, whatever, reflecting on the past, and someone dies. So that's like the very first couple sentences. You just know someone dies when they were there. And then the rest of the book, when it's like taking place when they're on the mission trip, it's through the perspective of the 4 daughters. So it's very interesting. You get to read a lot of different perspectives. One of my favorite. I had to read that in AP Lit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was my number one choice. So this is my second choice, but also I really like it too. Another one of the up there books.
Okay. Should I open it? I'm excited. Oh gosh, maybe I need some. This is very well packaged.
I love them. I get so many book hauls from them.
Dude, no fucking way.
Yeah.
7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I could not tell from your face that was the book. Wow.
That's good. I'm glad about that. Because I was like worried that you'd see me. That's also a book that I recommended to a ton of people, and they've all loved it. So
I know you so good. It's like we've been best friends for 10 years.
Yeah. I've read all of his books now, at this point. Oh, that author, Stuart Turton. Yeah. He has 2 other books, which me and Sam, my little brother, we tried to buddy read a book, and we, unbeknownst to us, each bought the other book that he wrote. So he has 3 books, I think, maybe 4 books that are out. Sam bought one that was called A Murder at the End of the World, and I bought one, and I forget its name. It's like Dark Waters, and we're like trying to converse with each other about what happened, and we're like, did you get to this part? And at some point we're like texting each other, and he's like, I think we're reading different. So we could not buddy read together. It was really funny.
Wild.
He's like, Shep, what the hell are you talking about?
Okay, for the audience who doesn't know what this book is, I'm going to read
very similar to that 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but completely different.
But so similar, but not at all the same.
The name is what bothers me because I'm like, it's the 7.5 deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
Evelyn Hardcastle will be murdered at 11 p.m. There are 8 days and 8 witnesses for you to inhabit. We will only let you escape once you tell us the name of the killer. Understood? Then let's begin. Evelyn Hardcastle will die every day until Aiden Bishop can identify her killer and break the cycle. But every time the day begins again, Aiden wakes up in the body of a different guest. Ooh, that's twisty. And some of his hosts are more helpful than others. Ooh, that's interesting. That brings in like the unreliable narrator kind of vibe.
And this book probably has, I know we were talking about the silent patient earlier, which I would say like it had a twist that I kind of predicted, but then it had like an additional twist in there that I was like, oh, that was unexpected. This one's twist, there's like 3 twists in it, and every single one I did not predict. It was very interesting. And it's kind of fun because you're getting like multiple perspectives, but at the same time, it's also the same person because you have one narrator, but they're just in different bodies. I don't like the back because it does tell you his name, and you, at the very, like for the first half of the book, the narrator doesn't know who he is.
Okay.
So he doesn't know his name is Aiden Bishop. So.
Interesting. He doesn't know his own name.
Yeah, because he has no memories.
Oh.
But you get that like from the very beginning. He knows that he's not himself.
I see.
But he has no memories.
And there's like a guide too. There's like a picture of the house. It's like Clue.
Yeah, it's very Agatha Christie, like old mystery type books.
Can't go wrong there.
And I like his writing because it is a combo of that mystery, but it's also sci-fi. Because his other 2 books are also kind of sci-fi.
Interesting.
But they're both mysteries as well.
So yeah. Still can't believe I guessed that right.
That was really funny.
It makes up for me guessing a book that you've not even read.
That was really funny though.
You're like, I've heard it's good, but
I was like, I just need to let you know, never read that.
Stop while you're ahead.
Then I got a little worried. I was like, oh no. What if it's all books?
She's only picked books that I've not actually read. Plot twist, Nicole's the one who didn't follow the story. Okay, I'm not going to open Julie's book. However, I have a funny story kind of to end the episode. And that was after Sophie betrayed us all and read her book, opened and read her books from us. I was like,
I only read one so far.
Whatever, read my book. I was like, okay, maybe I just open them. Like, who cares? It's already ruined, whatever. Not ruined though, because that was fun. But Julie's book came first, and it came in the Amazon like gift packaging type thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Which is the most difficult thing to ever open. I will tell you.
Well, I wouldn't know because it's still closed. But I was like just starting to open it because I was like, oh, I'm gonna succumb to the temptation. And along with the book came this folder that says, keep your gift a surprise. So I was like, damn, that's a sign from the universe. I literally can't open Julie's book or I'm going to hell, I guess. So I've not yet opened it, but maybe we just next episode, Julie can share her books with us.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us on the first episode of No Fictional Friends podcast with your hosts, Nicole and
Sophie.
We are excited about future episodes and showing you guys what we have in store. We can't wait. Okay, bye.
Bye.
I don't know how to end the recording.